My name is Daniel. I was 27 years old when this happened, and I had just moved to a city where I didn't know anyone. I was living alone, working all day, and spending my nights at home with nothing much to do besides scrolling on my phone. After a few weeks like that, I downloaded a dating app, more out of curiosity than anything else. I was using Hinge, talking to a few people here and there, nothing that really went anywhere, until I matched with her. I've never been the type to fall in love easily. I've always been cautious and grounded. But moving to a new country changes you. It makes you more open, more vulnerable, more willing to talk to strangers. And the algorithm, it delivers exactly what you want to hear. Her profile stood out immediately. Impeccable photos, well taken, nothing exaggerated. She seemed confident, intense, the kind of person who knows exactly who she is. Her name wasn't common, it sounded Irish. Even through text, you could almost sense an accent in the way she wrote. She said she had moved from Ireland, talked about life as a single mother, about work, struggles, ambitions. There was weight in her words. It wasn't shallow app conversation. She felt real, experienced. The connection built quickly. Music, movies, favorite places, inside jokes within 2 days. It was that dangerous feeling of finally finding someone who understands me. She said she had a teenage daughter, talked about her busy routine, about working at a trendy spot in the city. And I believed it because everything came with details. Too many details. Street names, specific times, personal stories with a beginning, middle, and end. The kind of consistency fake people usually get wrong, so I lowered my guard. But there was one rule. She wouldn't do video calls. There was always a reason. My camera's broken. I'm busy. My daughter's awake. I asked for FaceTime. She avoided it. I asked for a voice note. She sent one, but it was short. Almost too clean, like it had been recorded carefully. That's when I started feeling that small sting of doubt. Why would someone so present avoid something so basic? The first time I was genuinely scared was when she got jealous over something I never told her. I had gone out for a beer with a girl I had recently met. Nothing serious, just casual. By the end of the night, she texted me the neighborhood, the exact place, even the color of the girl's coat. How does someone from a dating app know that? She swore a friend of hers had seen me and told her. I laughed it off, but inside I was freezing. After weeks of talking, she finally agreed to meet, last minute like it was spontaneous. I'm in Camden. Come. I was already nearby and thought, fine, let's settle this. But when I arrived, she wasn't there. She said she got held up at work and that I could wait with a friend of hers. A really nice guy. And that alone is strange. Who introduces a friend before showing up themselves? Her friend showed up. Thin guy, red hair, heavy accent, overly friendly. He greeted me like he already knew me. We bought drinks and walked from pub to pub. He asked too many questions about her, like he was verifying answers. I tried to keep things light, but my mind was racing, because every minute felt less like a date and more like some kind of test. At one of the bars, I felt someone standing too close behind me in line. I turned and saw an older man, heavy build, brown coat, rough face. A stare that lingered too long. I assumed he was just another regular and ignored it. But when I moved, he moved too. And the worst part was that he wasn't looking at the bar. He was looking at me. Out of nowhere, another guy approached us and said he was also there to meet a woman. Her name was almost identical to the one I had. Similar story. A daughter with the same name, same approximate age. Same promises. Same cancellations. We started comparing details, and the more we talked, the more it felt like the ground was slipping away. I asked the simplest question I could think of. "What number do you have saved for her?" He said it out loud. It was the same number I had, same sequence, same ending. And in that second, I watched his face change. He didn't look confused. He looked pale, like someone who just realized he wasn't on a date. He was inside something else. I stood up to leave and, on my way out, casually asked the bartender if that woman worked there. He didn't hesitate. He said no, that she hadn't been there in years, not tonight. Years. That's when my chest tightened, because this wasn't just catfishing. Someone was using a real location as a stage, as bait. And then I remembered the man in the brown coat. I headed straight to the subway. As I went down the stairs, I saw the brown coat behind me. Same pace, same silence. I glanced at his neck and saw the tattoo I had briefly noticed earlier. I can't explain why, but in that moment I knew this wasn't random. I got on the train. He got on too. I sat down and forced myself to look calm. The train took forever to move. The second I heard the door signal, I stood up and got off impulsively. I ran to the opposite side, went down another staircase, switched lines, switched stations. Deliberately took the wrong route just to break any pattern. In the days that followed, she kept trying to call me, sent messages like nothing had happened. "We need to talk." "You disappeared." I blocked everything. Blocked the number, blocked profiles, changed privacy settings, shut down accounts. And even then, I spent weeks feeling like I was being watched in ordinary places. At the grocery store, at the bus stop, on the subway. The sickest part is that I never found out who she was. Whether it was one person, a group, a scam, or someone playing with people like some kind of experiment. All I know is this. That day, I didn't escape a bad date. I escaped something much worse. I was 16 at the time. I lived in a small town, the kind where everyone knows your life before you even tell it. That weekend, I had gone to a local festival with some friends. Nothing huge, just an outdoor music event the entire town had been talking about for weeks. I ended up drinking more than I should have. Nothing unusual for a 16-year-old who just wanted to feel like she belonged. I got home late, tired, with a heavy head, and my memory slightly blurred from the end of the night. When I woke up the next day, still lying in bed trying to figure out what time it was, my phone started vibrating on the table. There was a message from a number I didn't recognize. "Who is this?" Still half dizzy and confused, I assumed it was someone I had talked to at the festival and maybe given my number to without remembering. I replied, asking if we had met the night before. The conversation continued, almost too normal. He seemed to be trying to remember me too. He said he was 17, that he lived in the same town, that maybe we had crossed paths near the main stage. None of my friends remembered anyone named Jack. At some point, he asked my age and where I lived. I answered without thinking much about it. When I asked him the same questions back, something shifted. It was that kind of discomfort you can't fully explain. Then he asked if I was single. I stopped replying immediately. I locked my phone and went back to sleep. Hours later, more awake and clear-headed, I reread the entire conversation. Something hit me hard in the stomach. Months earlier, a friend had used her work phone to call me, and a guy from her job somehow got my number. He had started messaging me constantly, insisting, pushing, until he eventually said he would delete my contact. His name was Jack. I messaged my friend right away and asked if he still worked there. I asked if the number was the same. She replied, "Yes." And then she added, "But that guy is almost 60. My body went cold as she started telling me things I didn't know. She said he had sent strange messages to other girls, that he had crossed boundaries at work, that nobody felt comfortable around him. Everything began falling into place too quickly. I showed the messages to my mom, and her reaction was immediate. She was furious. She said that if he contacted me again, we would go to the police. At that moment, I truly thought it was over. A few days later, I was downtown waiting for my mom to pick me up when my phone vibrated again. It was him. This time, he sent a photo. A teenage boy, along with the message, "It's me. Did you get it?" I knew instantly it wasn't true. The face didn't match. The age didn't match. Nothing made sense. When I showed it to my mom, we went straight to the police station. And that's when things got worse. While the officers were holding my phone and reading the messages, it vibrated again in one of their hands. It was him, sending another message in real time, completely unaware that I was no longer the one on the other side of the conversation. At the station, the officers explained that, on their own, those messages didn't immediately qualify as a direct crime against me. But when they compared my report with previous complaints and what other girls had said, the tone changed. They kept my phone, asked for screenshots, times, numbers, and started connecting pieces I didn't even know existed. A few days later, my mom received a call asking us to come back. That's when everything became truly disturbing. The police had identified the man. He wasn't just an inappropriate employee trying to talk to younger girls. On his work computer, they found hidden folders filled with saved photos and conversations. Some involved minors. Others were clear attempts to pretend he was a teenager, repeating the exact same pattern he had used with me. And the photo he had sent me wasn't just of some random boy. It was his own son, used deliberately to deceive girls my age. According to the officers, this had been happening for some time. They told me, clearly and directly, that I had fit a pattern and that I had been observed before. Shortly after that, he was suspended from work and fired. Before any legal process could fully move forward, he left town. When the police went to his house, it was already empty. Some personal belongings had been left behind, as if he had left in a hurry. I was 16 years old when this happened, and I lived in a small town in the Appalachians in the southern United States. I had just come out to my parents and told them I was gay. My mother cried for days. My father stopped speaking to me. There were no screaming fights, no official expulsion. But I avoided sitting in the living room with them, avoided having dinner together, avoided any conversation that could turn into a sermon. Many nights I slept at friends' houses, saying it was just to study, when in reality, I just didn't want to be in that environment. I wasn't alone in the physical sense, but I was truly alone. And when you're 16, feeling rejected inside your own home and convinced no one in your town will understand you, you start looking for connection somewhere else. That's how I met him. His name was Jacob. He was my age, lived in Maryland, and seemed to understand everything I was feeling, the loneliness, the rejection, the anger. We talked all day through messages and calls, night after night, every single day. He introduced me to his friends, a closed group they called the Elites. I talked to all of them. A girl named Josie became my best friend in that group. She was the one I vented to whenever Jacob had one of his breakdowns, because he did have breakdowns. At first it was just jealousy. Then came the subtle threats. He would say that if I ever left him, he would do something I would regret. It scared me, but I told myself it was just teenage drama. Over time, the stories became stranger. Josie would call me saying Jacob had disappeared, that he was violent, that he had fought someone because of me. He would vanish for days and come back saying he had done bad things. It was always confusing, chaotic, but by then I was too involved to walk away. Then one night, in the middle of the night, Josie called me crying. She said Jacob had paid someone to go to my house, that he wanted to prove I was loyal, and that the guy was driving toward my home at that very moment. I hung up thinking it was exaggeration, until I heard a car stop in front of my house at 4 in the morning. I went to the window and saw a man step out of the car. He wasn't a teenager. He walked slowly across the lawn, looking at the house. My younger sister was asleep in the room next to mine. My parents were down the opposite hallway. I felt something I had never felt before. Fear. I grabbed my father's shotgun from the hallway closet and went outside into the yard. I hid behind a tree near the garage. The man was only a few meters from the front door when he raised his arm. I saw a metallic reflection in his hand. I shouted for him to stop. I pointed the gun at him and told him to go back to his car. He stood still for a few seconds. Then he gave a strange half-smile, turned around, got back into the car, and drove away. The next morning, Jacob texted me as if nothing had happened. He wrote, "I just needed to know how far you would go for me." That was the moment I understood it wasn't love. I blocked everyone, Jacob, the group, Josie. But the story didn't end there. A few months later, a friend of mine started noticing strange details. Profiles created on the same date. Photos appearing on different accounts. Small inconsistencies. We started digging deeper and discovered that Jacob didn't exist. The friends didn't exist. The group didn't exist. All the profiles were controlled by the same person, Josie. She had created every character, every conversation, every jealousy crisis, every threat, even the man who went to my house. She admitted she had paid someone to go there. She said she just wanted to see how far I would go, that she had lost control of her own story. I spent almost 2 years talking every single day to one person playing multiple characters. I believed I was being loved, when in reality I was being manipulated.